Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. In international news, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, who was initially seen as a unifying figure, as someone who could bring the nation together, as the solution to Ukraine's problems. Now, he has become part of Ukraine's problem. This is the perception among Westerners, the very ones who support Ukraine. And so Zelensky is seen as the real problem, which means that Zelensky is under a lot of pressure, a great deal of pressure. Yes, according to the Telegraph, Zelensky is no longer part of the solution for Ukraine, but rather he is part of the problem. And so, if he is the problem, what needs to be done? He needs to be replaced. But what are the factors underlying this thinking, this new perception? We can't really call it entirely new, since for some time now, Europeans have started to think this way. What are the elements that underpin this perception? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video conference. But before we continue, as usual, please share this video conference as much as possible. Give it lots of likes. And don't forget to leave your various opinions in the comments. You follow me from all over the world. I'm Robert Théa, for those who don't know me. I'm not a journalist. Yes, that's important to clarify. I'm a leader. I'm the president of the Guinean political party called the Citizens Party in Service of the Republic. I'm a committed Pan-Africanist. That's what it's all about. I'm a teacher and researcher in the Faculty of Law and Political Science at the largest university in the Republic of Guinea. Thank you for correcting that. I'm not a journalist. And to all those who criticize, well, there you have it. Thank you for your understanding. Maybe we are the new form of journalism, if you can put it that way. Here, the goal is to awaken consciousness, to provide real information in real time, to analyze things from every angle, and to enable the African people to understand the realities of our time and our existence. Share the video conference, so let's dive deeper. According to official information provided by the Telegraph and relayed by RT France, Zelensky, who was long seen by the West as a key figure of national unity, is now being accused of authoritarian excesses and attempts to sabotage anti-corruption agencies. So, faced with public anger and European warnings, his legitimacy is crumbling, and more voices are calling for his replacement. So, what's actually happening? What's going on? What's going on? So, what needs to be said is that there are already 4 reasons why Zelensky is no longer appreciated. You know most of them, but we've summarized them into 4 points. The first thing is the wear and tear of power and of war. After 2 years of war, people are tired. Zelensky has asked for a lot of sacrifices. People have made too many sacrifices. So Zelensky's popularity, although still somewhat in the majority, has dropped in the polls. And the polls show a significant decline in the trust that Ukrainians have in their president, because the war has lasted too long, what we call a war of attrition, which leads to a power of attrition. That is to say, Ukrainians are in the dark. They don't know when the war will end, when elections will be held. Since Zelensky himself is illegitimate, he is illegal. So, the second point that makes Zelensky be seen as the problem is the issue of corruption and governance. You are surely aware of this. In the past 24 or 48 hours, it has been front page news internationally. All the media have talked about it. This concerns the well-known law he enacted, which now places the 2 anti-corruption institutions under the direct authority of the Prosecutor General. However, the Prosecutor General is under the authority of the Office of the President, meaning under Zelensky. This means less democracy, less independence for these institutions. We even saw the European Union, with one of its commissioners, making a dramatic statement to disavow this law. And as we speak, the European Union is calling on Zelensky to go back and repeal this law. Zelensky himself made a statement on the 25th of July, 2025, saying that he understands the positions of all parties involved. They are right to express their disagreement. There have been a lot of protests over 2 days. I don't know if they're still ongoing today, but there have been many protests in many Ukrainian cities. The Ukrainians said to themselves, we don't care about missiles and drones. They could fall on our heads at any moment, but we are going to go out and say what we think. We do not agree with our nation sinking deeper into the vicious cycle of corruption, with the disappearance, if we can put it that way, of these two anti-corruption institutions. So that's the second point, the second reason. The third reason is the concentration of power and the absence of elections. Yes, there is martial law in effect in Ukraine. This martial law has suspended the presidential elections that were supposed to take place in March 2024. And now we are in 2025. So this has effectively extended Zelensky's term, although justified by the state of war. This situation raises democratic concerns. So even the people are fed up. People are wondering when the elections will take place. So that's another aspect. And because Zelensky's popularity has declined, if he holds elections, he won't be able to win, according to the perception of Westerners and even Ukrainians. So he is forced to remain in power. As long as the war continues, Zelensky continues to stay in power. That's clear. So does he really have an interest in peace returning to Ukraine? The answer, quite naturally, is no. No, no. No, he does not have an interest. So the West sees things very clearly when they say that Zelensky is part of the problem. So that was the third point. The fourth and final point that makes Zelensky considered one of the problems is his military management and expectations. How is he managing his army? We saw very recently he changed the Minister of Defense. The one who was Prime Minister, he assigned him as Minister of Defense. Nothing is going well. So, despite the courage of the Ukrainian troops, the lack of major breakthroughs on the front, and the human losses weigh heavily, there is no breakthrough at the front. Russia is just plowing through Ukraine, and the worst part is that there are a lot of human casualties. And what's dangerous in all this, what is wearing out both Ukrainians and Westerners, is that Zelensky is building more cemeteries. That means he is preparing to endure in this war. He is getting ready to receive many bodies. That much is clear. So, questions are being raised about the military strategy and Ukraine's ability to achieve a decisive victory, which is already generating frustration and doubts about Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership. That's why many are now calling for his replacement. But concretely, what measures do the Westerners want to take? For now, nothing has been said. Nothing has been said. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was the top story in international news. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I'll be back with more news for you shortly. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.